So I think now would be the perfect time to get into a kind of Q&A session. Much like in the last episode of this series, we've had tons of questions coming in. So let's just jump straight into it. Yeah. Alex, one for you to start with. Can I make changes and improvements to my shared ownership property?
Within reason, yes. So what's great obviously about shared ownership is that you own the home, it's yours, so you can decorate it as you wish. You can hang paintings, mirrors, everything like that. It is still a leasehold property, so there are certain changes that you potentially couldn't make. So you can't make any structural changes to the property, but within reason, you can make some larger changes. You just have to get consent from the square roots. It's mainly down to just so that we have record of any kind of changes in the future. If you were to sell the property on, we're just aware. So if you were to look to upgrade the kitchen, then you could do that with our consent, and we just want to make sure that it's been done to a good standard. You're using a reputable builder and things like that.
Just that it's done right, in the right way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. And then another good question. Can you sell a shared ownership home?
You can. One of the biggest misconceptions, I say, for shared ownership is that you can sell the property. There is a process for it. So it'd be the case of approaching Square Roots, the housing provider, and saying that you would like to sell the property. We will then request an updated valuation on the property. So again, you sell the property at the value it is at current day, so not for the value that you originally bought it for. So that could be great if you are looking to increase equity. The property market hopefully would have moved on, but then you get an up-to-date valuation on the property. We then have an exclusivity period to try and find a buyer for your share that you own. If we can't find a buyer for that, which is unlikely, because we have a massive database of buyers already, but if we can't find a buyer and that exclusivity period ends, then you can also go out to the open market, sell it via a local estate agent, or sell it via yourself privately to a shared owner. But also the other big thing is as well that you can sell the property on the open market at 100%. You are not just limited to selling it at shared ownership, which is again a big misconception. They think that buyers think once you own that shared ownership home, you can only sell it again via shared ownership. That's not the case. You can sell 100% of the share, and it is feasible to do that.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Rupi, so it's a big question. How much can I afford?
That's a question we get asked mostly as mortgage brokers. People, they find the home, they fall in love with it, and can I afford to live here? That's one thing, and what's it going to cost me every month? For that, the only way to really work it out is to fill out forms, work out what you're earning, what your deposit is, how much the property is, your debt to income ratio is, how much of your net income every month is going to go towards that home. And there's no rough guide, really, rule of thumb. Well, if we were going to use a rule of thumb, usually about 4 to 5 times your income. You can borrow that much, but the best thing to do is, if you think you're going to be spending you're going to be buying something worth £400,000 to £500,000, take your time out, fill out the forms on an assessment portal like ours, get your credit reports done to make sure that there's no adverse credit there, any problems which affect your interest rates, that's another thing to throw in, and get someone to assess you to find out what you can afford, and also whether you get the approval for buying a shared ownership property, and then start there. And then when you actually find a property, the only way to find out what you can actually afford and whether you're allowed to afford it is to apply for a mortgage, because interest rates keep changing and mortgage criteria keeps changing. So my advice on what can I afford is find yourself a good broker. Obviously someone like Sensia is good, but we have colleagues in other firms that are good. Find yourself a good broker who specialises in shared ownership. Befriend them and help them help you find a home.
I think you touched on some really important points there, and I think it's just such a personal journey, and it's so different for the three of us, it'd be completely different journeys. And, we get a lot of questions around, what if I'm self-employed? What if I've just started a new job? All of this gets taken into consideration along with your credit score and all these other aspects. So like you say, actually speaking to someone, especially a specialist like Sensio are in shared ownership, it just means that you're getting that expertise and they can kind of assist you on the way.
And it's no different for any other purchase. If you're buying a freehold house or a flat, you still have to talk to someone to help you along that. It's very complicated now. Banks are, interest rates are changing all the time, sometimes better, sometimes worse. Right now, interest rates start coming down again. So, and the whole transaction could take you up to 2 to 3 months. It takes you a certain time to find a house, then it takes you a little bit of time to apply for the mortgage, the conveyancing. So that journey is quite long, and having a good team behind you, i.e. good advisors from the developer who know what they're doing, a good mortgage advisor and a good conveyancer, i.e. a lawyer, that team will help you into that home.
Fantastic. So Rupi, could you give anyone that's viewing a little bit of kind of advice on how to get mortgage ready before they buy their first home?
How to get mortgage ready. Firstly, start doing some research. Start looking on the internet, start talking to people about what mortgage is, what it entails, and what you need to do to get ready. If you go on to, for example, our website or the Share to Buy website, there's lots of blogs there talk about being mortgage ready. So have a read and understand that. Also, download a list of things that you need to do. Get your credit report ready. There's Check My File that you can get to through our website. That gives you a credit report by looking at all the credit agencies out there. There's about 4 of them they look at. There's your bank statements. Get the last 6 months to ready. There's your pay slips. Get the last 6 months ready. So get everything ready. Get it printed out and onto PDF. That's the first part. Get the file ready. Then start talking to brokers. Give us a call and have a chat. See what you can afford, what you can't afford. But start understanding what a mortgage is. People understand more about their phone contracts and what trainers to buy over and above what a mortgage is. It is boring, it is dull, but the more you understand it, the more money you will save in the long term.
So being prepared.
Being prepared.
Doing your research, being prepared.
Doing the research, being prepared.
Amazing. And then a question we got a lot of. So Alex, I'll throw to you for this one. I previously owned a home. Can I still apply for shared ownership?
You can do. So shared ownership is not just available for first-time buyers. It's available for people that are looking to, second steppers that are looking to either move to the next level to upsize. The main thing is with shared ownership is that you just don't own another property. So if you're in the process of selling that property or you've sold that property, then you can still buy on the shared ownership scheme.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very common misconception is because shared ownership is so aimed at first-time buyers and it helps first-time buyers who are just trying to buy their first property, that it's often assumed that, oh, well, because I used to own, I'm not eligible. But it's good to know that, it is kind of there for upsizers, downsizers, second steppers. Yeah, that's amazing.
I think it's also one of the other big kind of target groups that they did aim it at is people that are coming out of relationship breakdowns, is that you may have been in a relationship, you bought your home together, you've got a dual income, but obviously that doesn't always work out, and sometimes you need to then buy a home separately, and you've gone from 2 incomes down to 1 income, and that's where shared ownership has helped massively. It's allowed people to stay on the property ladder and not just have to then step back into renting, being able to still stay in home ownership, which has been really important for the scheme as well.
Fantastic, thank you. So we've been talking about shared ownership and how that's where you buy a portion of a home and rent the remainder. Could you just kind of give me a bit of an understanding of how that rent is calculated?
So the rent is set at 2.75%. It can vary depending on the development and the property that you're purchasing. So it's worth speaking with the housing provider or one of our square root sales executives, because if the property price is slightly higher than average, if you're buying a larger 3 or 4 bedroom home, sometimes the rent can be below that 2.75%. But generally it is 2.75% of the remaining share that you're not purchasing.
So I think this session has been really useful, really insightful, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of people kind of on their home ownership journey. I mean, it's so difficult preparing to buy for your home, but it's very clear that Square Roots are trying to make that more seamless. And I think first-time buyers will love that. So that's all we're going to have time for today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for submitting your questions. We'll be back at a later date with the next episode of this. But in the meantime, visit squareroots.co.uk for more information about their developments, and don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel. Thanks very much. See you then.